This film video is about a walk that I did back in April 2021. It's almost a year ago. It was a 56-kilometer walk, and it was to mimic a walk that Tom Crean undertook about 100 years ago. They were all going to die if something wasn't done. They couldn't pull Lieutenant Evans anymore on the sled, and he was dying of scurvy. So anyway, the 56-kilometer walk I managed to do, and after I completed it, I thought I would document it. I recorded it as a trail, which you should be watching right now. I'm asked repeatedly over the last year about this walk, why I did it, would I do it again? There's people I know that want to do it, and I want to automate the response in some way. So that's what this video is about. And if you're not into things about endurance challenges, maybe this video isn't for you. But here's the story anyway. So before I completed it, the September before, so maybe 9 months before I completed it, I tried to do it once, thinking, yeah, I can do 56 kilometers. And I couldn't. I got to 42 kilometers and my heels were bleeding, legs were killing me, and I'd run out of water. And that was September 2020. While we were still kind of on lockdown, I walked from Dublin to Wicklow, which was I walked all the way to Glendalough that time, which was an amazing experience to do the walk. I remember tears coming in my eyes thinking about Crean, Lashley and Evans, kind of understanding how they felt. I got this moment where I was like with my heroes, if you can imagine. Anyway, but I didn't succeed, and I thought at that stage that this might be the only time I do it. I won't do this again. It's kind of impossible, and it gave me an idea that Crean must have been some sort of guy. He must have been amazing as a human. Anyway, roll on about 4 months, and the idea kept on creeping back into my head between September 2020 and December 2020. The idea kept on creeping back into my head, and I was like, why won't this go away? How am I going to make this go away? The only way I'm going to make it go away is to do it again. So that got me thinking about the science of Crean. You know, what sort of physical condition he was in that after 1,500 miles he could do a solo that I couldn't do, and I was fully nourished, you know? And it made me think a few different things. One of the ideas I had was that he had much more conditioning. He was a able seaman at the time. He would have been doing a lot of the hard graft. He would have been the person who was repairing the sleds at night when other people were writing their diaries. But I had this feeling that he was maybe more conditioned. He was carrying heavier loads, and certainly by the sounds of it, they were pulling between 150 pounds and 200 pounds weight, each man on these sleds as they went out, created depots every 65 miles. So I thought about this conditioning, and I thought, well, how can I condition myself to be more like Crean? And the idea I came up with was to put more weight on my back, to increase the loads that I was carrying so that I could increase the muscle mass in my legs, so that if and when I took off the load, that I would have legs that were capable of carrying a load that was heavier. And in my stupid mind, or I don't suppose it's stupid now, but in my mind, I thought, well, if my legs can carry a heavier weight, then they should be able to carry my normal weight for longer. And that was all the science I put into it. So for 4 months between December and April 2021, I increased the weight to the point where I got quite happy carrying 10 kilos on my back for any distance. I started to experience a kind of drive power in my legs that I had not felt before. I don't think I'd ever felt it before. I had a pushing strength, so I could push something with my body with a lot of ease. So roll on April 2021, and on I think it was my 45th birthday, I set off at 5 o'clock in the morning and walked out from my house, walked up the hills, got up onto the top of the hills, climbed across Dublin Mountains down to Powerscourt, walked up Jouse, across Lugalaw, down into Roundwood, Glendalough. It was a different journey than the first time I tried it, so I went a different route. And I was like a mobile rave. The day previous, myself and my wife had gone out and dropped 500 milliliter bottles of water every 7 miles. So as I was walking this route, every 7 miles I was collecting a bottle of water. Anyway, that's how it was done. I did get to one point in the walk where I decided to stop drinking water. I had maybe an excess of 3 bottles of water in my bag, and I was like starting to slow down as well. I could see my speed from 7 kilometers an hour at the start, dropping to 6, to 5, to 4. I took a few breaks. I had support from people. People called me during the day, which was really nice. And I got all the way to Roundwood, and I stopped drinking water for about 45 minutes because I thought I'm overhydrated. I'm peeing every time I see a Wicklow Way sign. I need to have a pee. It was like I was magnetized to these signs. I needed to pee every time I saw one. So I stopped drinking in Roundwood, and shortly after that, I started to feel like heat stroke. And the heat stroke just continued to get worse to the point where I actually considered stopping, or that I was going to be unable to complete it again at this 42 kilometer mark. But anyway, I dug deep. I opened a bottle of water. I drank the whole bottle of water, and within about 7 minutes, I was back on the road again, making my way to Glendalough. My wife met me in Lara, and she walked all the way to the miners' village and back, which was another 10k in Glendalough. And that brought me up to, I think it was 54 kilometers. I also had a 1,000 meter incline or ascent stage during the walk. And one other factor was that you could only eat 177 grams of food. I think Crean had 2 biscuits and a chocolate bar. So this was another part, another bone of contention was no food for the entire day. Apart from these 2 biscuits, I think I made some oatmeal biscuits. I think it was 2 biscuits, and I don't know if I had chocolate bar. I think I brought an orange instead of a chocolate bar, but it was 177 grams of food. And it was one of the most amazing things I've ever done. Anyway, that is the story of the 56 kilometers. What it did for me was maybe give me legs that were too big, and it took me almost a year to get rid of the muscle mass that I'd built up. Mentally, it showed me where the level of human endurance was for me. It took me to a place that I've never been before. It's a silly distance, it was touching the limits of human body performance. But today, I sit down to try and make this video to talk about the 56 kilometers. And I learned that my name, Higgins, is to do with Vikings. This want and desire for adventure. It was the same when I kayaked. When I did kayaking, it was like I was opening a book that was already written. And maybe today I've finally figured out what's in my veins. There's this Viking inside my veins. Well, this could be